This, I believe, is gonna have comments. This now live on your channel. What is it calling? Gogo is live. Clearly, you are out of touch. Hello. There you go, Neo. See, now it's working. I have just have a nice chat that I've planned. Very impromptu. I'm testing the waters. 10 people. See, I can tell people got their messages that I'm online. Thank you for joining me. Let me know if the drumming outside is too loud. Dumela Amanda. How are you? Hi, Gogo Ashley. Nice to see you. Let me know if the drumming outside is too loud. I try to put on my mic. Yeah, it's on. I tried to put on my mic just to make it better. If for ventilation. Natural light. You guys can hear me well? Let me know, guys, so I can get started. Guys, not every place has fiber. Body Wi-Fi, wow. So I don't want to keep you guys for too long. Nah, it's all good. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you for the feedback. What's up, everyone? Welcome to a very impromptu live with myself, Gogo Moyo. I am in my studio. You don't know this environment at all. It's fairly new. And I wanted to talk to you guys about what is a calling, right? And I'm not talking about a calling because there's many callings that we have in our lives. And it's about identifying that a calling is not always going to be wrapped in packaging that we want it to be wrapped in. A calling is not going to look like how we want it to look. It's not going to be in places that we envision ourselves sitting at, like a corner office, or driving your favorite car, or working in a specific space, or having to wake up at 9 a.m. because your life is structured that way. I'm talking about a calling that you're born with, and Madimuba how make you gravitate towards that direction for as long as you exist in the world. That's the calling I'm talking about. And the more you fight the calling, the more it beckons, the louder it gets, the more unfortunate turn of events come about, because how about you know? So that's particularly what I want to talk about. And it comes up a lot. How we structure our lives is always, sometimes you look at your role models, the person that lives down the street from you, who is like a hero to you or a role model of some sort, and they look like they've got their life together, and you're like, actually, and at some point in my life, those kind of things, you know. And that's all good and well, because everything is always inspired by something. Everything's always inspired by something. There's very few instances where you come up with a unique idea that's like literally standalone on its own. Very seldom, because you always need to borrow from something, you know, for that seed to be planted. So the company you keep, the people that you have around you, that you have exposure to, all of those things, they're important. because they lead us to where we're supposed to be. Please write down in the comment section what you think a calling is. A one-liner, thing that you associate with a calling. It doesn't only have to be about ubungoma, guys. I'm talking about life circumstances here. Because everything around us inspires something. For a Gogo Moyo to begin, it was inspired by the fact that I live in a remote area. I don't have a lot of neighbors. My neighbors are far away from me. All those kind of things, right? And I'm like, I'm a young Gogo. I come back from Golifetonge. How do I interact? How do I find my people? Who are my people? I can't be the only person molifating, onaling this calling, this gift, this setup. I'm sure only to find that there really was, only to find that there really was. And that's how the Gogo Moyo brand was created, because of a situation, because of a circumstance. And I borrowed from the internet and created my own, and I created my own website, and that's where Lesedi Khanya began. And that's where one thing birthed another. Next thing, kinalindumba, ibulelang batho ba berekelang mo yona, ke ba ruta, ketang. I'm now doing influencer gigs. I'm now doing a whole series of what's this? On Mungoma, Gogo Moyo TV. And that's why till today, that brand was so strong. I can rely on it that on a random Saturday and I'm doing a live and people are showing up for it. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, if I had scheduled it, a lot more people would show up because people would make time for the conversation, would want to participate in our conversation. But the brand is still so strong that if you see an email, I got an email, Gogo Moyo is live, I'm like, that's it. If you do something right, it will take care of itself. But how do we get to these callings, right? Gogo actually says, you're preaching to me, Gogo. My calling is turning out to be many more than being a sangoma. It's taking me further than ubungoma. Exactly, precisely. No, that thing that keeps you tagging, that keeps tagging at your heart and will never leave you alone. You try to mize and it'll follow you, Shem. Lol. Absolutely. That's Gentaki Wankayona. And it's inspired by something. There's a vision, a thought, an inclination, something eringi shabaka mole, koduma mole, bona ena, twara mona. And you're like, how did I get here? And honoring your calling is so important because it teaches you how to have a relationship with yourself. If you don't honor your calling, it speaks of a lack of relationship with yourself. Because this calling, so when honzo maiza, uti keep busy, ushara molotlogel, and wabana go le ntshengwe le ngwe ke re ka itshwara. I admit, everything that I try to do disagrees with me because I'm amazing. And what seems like it takes 2 years for someone to do, it's going to take you 5+ years because that's not part of your calling. And I'm not saying following your calling is easy, but it motivates itself more. Whereas the other thing, you're looking at, that person got to get to that place, so it does work. So that motivation is the fruits of the other person's labor. Whereas a calling, the affirmations are so internal. The conversation, mo. Or when the screen is so small, mo. Your affirmations don't come further than the space because it's an internal conversation. And that's why following your calling is a conversation that speaks to how you treat yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself, how you envision yourself. Because the more you're going to mize that calling, the more you sit in suffering, the more you sit in confusion, and then you're like, what's going? Why why? That's when those thoughts start happening. Because you are refusing to listen to this calling, which oftentimes doesn't look like the thoughts that we have for ourselves, the image that we have for ourselves. The unorthodoxy, and you're like, why ke le monyane ke batla go lo reka stand ko magaeng and ke lo reka meseme? Something as random as that. I'm like, you're hip, you're happening, you're probably your most gorgeous self, your most fittest self, the most active self that there is at this particular age. Mara, you are having thoughts. It's like, ma'am, sir, don't you have anything better to do? Do you understand what I mean? It doesn't look like it's cool, but the stillness that comes with following that calling. If it social media who scroll, because social media can scroll. Social media equals scroll. And with scroll, time consumed, looking at other people's lives, and then ultimately, depending on the relationship with yourself, it becomes a negative for you because you no longer take the good and be inspired by people putting in hard work equals to, but instead you use it as a gauge to how well you're doing, how smart you are, if you still have a place in the world, It's so easy to get caught up in social media. Social media is not a true representation of life. It is not. I didn't come here, that's life. Because it's reality. I came, made sure, okay, let me go put some water on my hair to just give my dreads a bit of puff, put some lip gloss. Oh, and also I came with a drink. It's staged. There's a certain level of effort I put into my first hello with you guys. And that's what social media is. So if you're going to take your life and base it on what you see on your screens, you're in trouble because that's when your calling is going to go further and further and further and further at the back of your mind. And there is absolutely no reward for that. I don't know if you guys are still commenting, but please share your thoughts, guys. I'm really curious on what it is that you see. Even if it's just a hello and you're just passing by, I'd appreciate that. Tap some likes, just show kind of engagement to show that because ultimately we're drawn to doing things. Sometimes you may not even know why. You want to wake up on a random Saturday after being MIA of the socials for so long and you want to come out and talk about a calling. Do you understand what I mean? Also, another thing about a calling that I want to stress. Sometimes your calling is not for you. It's your calling. You are meant to go do it. You're called to go do it. You have the resource, you have the smarts, you have the capability, you have everything to go do it. But you are not the receptor of your calling. The calling is not for you. You are the vessel in that particular place. It's not for you. You're not the one who gains the benefits or the fruits of your labor, of your calling, right? So sometimes you may find that you're called into a space and because of the lack of visual gratification, visual fruits, you think, nah, let me park this. And I realize the more people who are benefiting from you, and I'm not talking about this in a selfish perspective. I'm talking about, for instance, this live, random, tomorrow it incites action. So I don't see the action. I don't see the fruits of the life. But my job, my calling, is to articulate and take out some of the thoughts that might seem jumbled up in my head. And by saying them, they're going to land where they are needed. So sometimes your calling is not for you. Like how a tree will birth a fruit. The tree does not eat the fruit. The tree, it doesn't eat the fruit. All the tree needs is water. All the tree needs is water. The people passing by, the animals, the ground itself ends up taking back its fruit to fertilize the tree in turn eventually. And it's a slower process than just when now apple with or so different, right? So you're not the benefactor of your calling. So sometimes you should not judge the effects or the purpose of what you're doing based on what you're receiving. By virtue of me being able to do what I'm doing, years later, 10 minutes later, someone can send me a text. Gogo, based on something that you did 5 minutes ago, 5 years ago, today I am this, or I have managed to do this. This is how I would like to thank you. Then you start seeing something tangible. Or there's an opportunity for you to go speak elsewhere that I would love you to go to. Then your name spreads in that way. More people get to know about you. Do you understand what I mean? So sometimes part of a calling, the rewards are not in your face. So don't let that deter you from putting in the work. And how do you know that something is a calling? It's a permanent fixture in your life. You know because you're always trying to improve its delivery. That's how you know it's a calling and you're not just passing by. You're always trying to improve the experience. Because the sooner you improve the experience, the sooner you can settle into it. You can be comfortable in it. You can enjoy being within the space. There's so much to gain. There's so much to gain. So a calling doesn't have to be wrapped in things that you desire of an earthly nature, because sometimes your calling is for your spirit. And where spirit resides is where you reside. If look at the progress within your day, it won't be okay. It won't be 100% because it's fed by spirit. That's why there's sayings like, I don't go to bed angry at my spouse. Because energy is everywhere. You can't hide it, you can't put it in a box, you can't contain it. So I implore you to take a leap of faith. And one day I will make a live and I'll take you on a tour of my studio and I'll tell you the different side of me that you don't know, because I am an ever evolving person. I am always shifting, I'm always changing, I'm always allowing myself to take off and peel off a different layer of myself. I love to humor myself. But rather than to look at it from a distance and say, I did want to do that at some point. And it doesn't mean I've got money or lots of money sitting in a bank account feeding this. My interest in myself, my relationship with myself is the one that makes me prioritize availing certain things for myself. So I'm happy to have spoken to you guys today. I don't know if there's any more comments after Neo. Let me know if I'm missing something, but I don't think there is. But that has been my chat basically today. Is a chat around a calling. And there's so many of us in the world that very few things are unique. Don't be caught in the bug of imitator, because if a person recognizes your passion towards something, there won't be a conversation around you being a copycat or any kind of that talk around you. So I encourage you today that your calling should not just be of a certain nature or under a certain category. You're a holistic person. And with you being holistic means that there's levels of you that you still need to speak to, that you still need to satisfy or to be curious about, to actually want to do something that's interesting or great, even if it's an inside job. Because not everything needs to be on social media. Do you guys know what I've been doing for the past 3 years? No, because for it to function, it didn't need an audience for it to function. On its own, it was designed to function. So sometimes if you need to take that sabbatical, do it. So that you can come back the version that you need to be. So you can support that season in your life. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've been here for literally 20 minutes, which is literally all the amount of time that I needed to have with you. And thank you for listening, for engaging with me, Neo, Gogo, Ashley, Leboheng, Amanda, all of you guys. I sincerely appreciate that you were these people and you weren't shy, and all the people that actually liked, because I can't see your names right now. But have yourselves an amazing Saturday and humor yourself. Just go try and see what will happen if you take your relationship with yourself just a tad bit more seriously. Because I know there's nothing that you will not do from Jolo. You will travel across the country. You will send someone money or something. You will even change your whole entire wardrobe to suit that person's said interest or the desired person. There's nothing you will not do for Tabayam Jolo. So today I challenge you. And show up for yourself the way you need yourself to show up. That's going to satisfy you until you deem yourself to be in an amazing relationship with yourself. Like, this is the relationship of my dreams, guys. I'm encouraging you to do that. Because once you get to that place, you will allow yourself to keep yourself accountable to your dreams. You'll keep yourself accountable to yourself. You'll stop certain patterns from keeping on happening in your life because you've created boundaries even with yourself. It doesn't start with other people. Boundaries start with ourselves. So I'm encouraging you guys today to have that relationship with yourselves. And thank you so much for tuning in. Toza.